So for step 14, front suspension 1, well, we're going to take our uprights that we built in the previous step and we're going to attach them to these arms. So we've got quite a few screws that we need to grab and attach, and we're going to be greasing those ball connectors as I mentioned in the last step. So there are the screws that we need, there are the arms that we need. So I'll set this up and we'll put this together. So in the last step, I greased the ball connector on one of them. And you can see that if we grab this piece here, the F4, this is going to now sit on top of that piece, just like that. So you can see that the flat black piece from the last step is going into the little holes, not the raised holes. And you can see that the whole thing is now attached where that ball connector is running around in the grease right there. So at this stage, what we're going to need to do is we need to grab our flathead screw. That's going to get screwed into the bottom of here. So that's one. And now what it's done, because we've got the black piece into the right 3 flat holes, you can see that there's holes are completely open so that you can screw in the tinier, the small holes. So I'm going to grab one of the screws here and up from the bottom. We know that's going to go here. And that screw is going up inside of that raised piece. So I just need to screw this in all the way. But before I tighten it up, I'm going to put in the other 2 screws. It's a very cool suspension because with the ball connector, it really leaves this super loose and moves around very freely. So again, let's tighten this up all the way now. All 3 screws are in, so I'm good with that. So I'm just going around making sure that each screw is nicely screwed in all the way. And I'm not over tightening because remember, these are very small screws, so you don't want to strip anything out. This one's not so bad, it uses the bigger one, but I'm going to tighten it up a bit more. But there we go, there is one of our front suspension pieces in place. So we've got to do the same on the other side. Now remember, I didn't grease up this ball on that last step, so this time around I'm going to. I'm just going to run it around and grab this piece here. We've got to grab it that way. Again, make sure that those are seated in the right holes. That looks correct. This is going to sit over top just like that. And I can see that the holes, the black pieces from the other plastic part are in the right spot. So I'm just going to turn this over. And we're going to grab our flathead screw again, and we're going to screw that one all the way down. I'm not tightening it up, but it's all the way down so that it's correct, and we can start screwing these other ones in place. So we'll grab the screw and screw that all the way in. Do the same thing with this one. And the same thing with this one. Okay, so they're all in. So now I'm just going to go around and tighten them all up. Make sure that they're correct. And again, don't over tighten. Make sure they're definitely not loose, but yep, that feels right. And I'm going to do one final tighten on that screw. Make sure that's nice and tight. And of course with that grease, now that means that ball is nice and loose. Awesome. So that means that front suspension 1 is done. So step 14 is complete. So now we're going to move on to step 15, and we're going to work on front suspension 2. So for step 15, front suspension 2, well, now we're going to put the top arm on, and same idea, we're going to use the 4 screws and the flathead screw to screw it down onto the ball plate, and I'm going to grease the ball before I put that on, and I'll be doing that on both sides. You can also see that we need to put the bearings in and our wheel axle. So there is the hardware that we need, everything there, and there are the top arms. So I'll set this up and we'll put it together. So if we grab this arm here with the curve, that is the one that we're going to be using to put this on. Now I'm going to put the bearings and the wheel axle in after we've done this part, because this is going to be the most finicky part of the whole thing. So you can see there, it's in the right spot. The other holes where the screws are going to go are in the right spot. So I'm going to grease up the ball. I'm not going to go crazy, but I'm definitely going to make sure that there is enough on there. That's good. And now this is going to sit over top, just like that. And so that means we're going to take our flathead screw. Let's get that one in there first. There we go. And now it'll be just a matter of getting the other 3 screws in place. If we can get them in. Oh, it moved on me. Okay. So let's move that around. That needs to go that way. This needs to go that way. That should leave the holes open. Yes. Grab our screw. Screw that one back in. And let's get these screws in. Come on. Let's try the other one. Something is not gripping. There we go. And grab this one. And the last one should go in. Well, there we go. Don't know what was holding it up. So now that they're all in, I'm going to tighten these up. And again, don't over tighten because they are very small, so you could end up stripping them out. I'm just going to go around, give them a little bit of a nice push. If, yeah, that's good. And I'll just do another quick tighten of that one. And there we go. So that is one of our suspension parts in place. So now we're going to put a bearing down there. And the easiest thing I've found is use your box wrench to do that final push. It makes it easy just to keep it down there. And then the same thing on the other side. We can just push this one in just like that and stick our wheel axle through. So there is one of our front suspension pieces ready to go. So I'll put that aside. Let's do the same thing with this one. First, I'm gonna grease up our ball connector. Just like that. Make sure that the holes are in the correct spot. They've moved, so we're going to move that over to there. There we go. And grab our suspension piece. That's going to sit over top like that. And we'll grab our flathead screw. We'll screw that one in place. And then we'll start putting in the little screws. And again, I'm just going to go around, make sure that they all are going in without any issues. There we go. And now I can tighten these down. And again, just make sure you don't over tighten, but definitely make sure that they're all the way in. And a final one on this flathead. And there we go. So last thing to do, let's get our bearings in there. So there's one. Get that last one, which you can see has to go way down there. So it's going to be easier to use this. Push. And that's in there. And then we can take our wheel axle and put it in there. So there's the second one ready to go. So there is front suspension 2, step 15 complete. So now we can move on to step 16 and we're going to attach the front suspension.